Ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin by reminding you of something most people overlook every single day: the power of a moment. Not the moment when you win an award or the moment when you achieve success, but the moment that begins all other moments, the first moment of your day. Because hear me carefully, every day is a prophecy waiting for your permission. The direction of your destiny is not decided in a year or in a month. It is decided in the first few minutes after you open your eyes. The ancient principle is still true. And the evening and the morning were the first day. That's not just poetry, that's a law of creation. God designed life to begin in the morning because mornings were meant to be the reset of dominion. Most people wake up and enter a world they never designed. They open their eyes and instantly react to alarms, to notifications, to noise. They wake up to respond, not to rule. But you were never created to wake up reacting. You were created to wake up ruling. You see, success doesn't start in the boardroom, it starts in the bedroom. Not the place where you sleep, but the place where you wake. Because the first thing you think about, the first thing you say, the first thing you feed your mind when you rise, those are the architects of your future. If anxiety walks through first, peace will struggle to find its way in. If worry greets you before worship does, then the whole day becomes a battlefield of fear. But if purpose is the first voice that speaks, then direction will guide every decision you make. So I call this principle the law of first moments. Write that down. The law of first moments. It means whatever dominates the first hour of your day will eventually dominate your destiny. Because hear me carefully, every day is a prophecy waiting for your permission. The direction of your destiny is not decided in a year or in a month. It is decided in the first few minutes after you open your eyes. The ancient principle is still true. And the evening and the morning were the first day. That's not just poetry, that's a law of creation. God designed life to begin in the morning because mornings were meant to be the reset of dominion. The reason some people feel lost is not because they have no direction, but because they surrendered the steering wheel of their mind the moment they woke up. They gave control of the morning to chaos, and chaos built their calendar. But hear me, the day only obeys the voice that speaks first. So, I challenge you today, never waste your first moments. The world will try to claim them, emails will fight for them, news will poison them, social media will hijack them, but you must defend them as sacred ground. Because the first few moments of your day are not casual, they are covenantal. They are the meeting place between your vision and your creator. That's why I say, wake up with intention, not interruption. Don't allow the alarm clock to dictate your rhythm. Let your assignment awaken your soul. You were never meant to wake up tired, scrolling through strangers' lives. You were meant to wake up inspired, directing your own. And when you begin to treat your morning as a holy hour, everything else begins to align. Your mind becomes clearer. Your focus becomes sharper. Your energy becomes guided. Because the order of your morning becomes the order of your life. So, the law of first moments teaches us this. The morning is the most spiritual hour of your existence. It is the gate through which your thoughts walk into the world. And whatever walks through that gate first rules the rest of the day. The reason some people feel lost is not because they have no direction, but because they surrendered the steering wheel of their mind the moment they woke up. They gave control of the morning to chaos, and chaos built their calendar. But hear me, the day only obeys the voice that speaks first. So I call this principle the law of first moments. Write that down. The law of first moments. It means whatever dominates the first hour of your day will eventually dominate your destiny. Because the day doesn't begin when you leave the house. It begins when you take command of your mind. And destiny doesn't wait until the weekend. It begins every morning. You choose to rule your first moments. The first voice you hear will shape the day you live. That's why God gave humanity mornings to start again with intention. Every sunrise is an invitation to rewrite yesterday's failure, to reset your vision, and to rebuild your confidence. It is the daily mercy that says you can begin again. Rule your morning and the day will serve you. Ignore your morning and the day will enslave you. That's the law of first moments. That's where dominion begins. And when you learn to master this law, you will begin to live not from reaction, but from revelation. My friends, listen carefully. The difference between people who drift through life and people who direct life is found in how they wake up. The first thought you hold will determine the mood you carry. Every morning, heaven gives you back something no one else can earn for you time. And when you open your eyes, you are handed a 24-hour seed. The question is not whether you will use it. The question is who will use it through you. The first thought you hold will determine the mood you carry. So before we move any further, I want you to remember this truth. Each sunrise is not a routine, it's a reminder. A reminder that God still trusts you with time. A reminder that your vision still matters. A reminder that destiny only responds to discipline. Because the day doesn't begin when you leave the house. It begins when you take command of your mind. And destiny doesn't wait until the weekend. It begins every morning. You choose to rule your first moments. That is why discipline must begin before daylight. If you want to transform your future, start by transforming your first hour. Guard it. Guide it. Give it purpose. So before we move any further, I want you to remember this truth. Each sunrise is not a routine. It's a reminder. A reminder that God still trusts you with time. A reminder that your vision still matters. A reminder that destiny only responds to discipline. Every morning, heaven gives you back something no one else can earn for you time. And when you open your eyes, you are handed a 24-hour seed. The question is not whether you will use it. The question is who will use it through you. That is why discipline must begin before daylight. If you want to transform your future, start by transforming your first hour. Guard it. Guide it. Give it purpose. Let me illustrate this for you. If an alarm wakes you, you'll move by reaction. But if assignment wakes you, you'll move by revelation. Reaction says, I have to go. Revelation says, I get to go. Reaction drags the body. Revelation drives the soul. That's why every morning I trained myself not to ask, what must I do, but what am I sent to do? Because assignment changes attitude. When you realize that this day is not random but entrusted, you begin to treat your minutes as sacred currency. You can waste a morning scrolling through other people's dreams, or you can spend it building your own. You can wake up complaining about pressure, or you can rise declaring purpose. The choice is yours, but the results are predictable. Because whatever starts your morning will script your mood, and your mood will influence your motion. So, I say to you, wake with assignment, not alarm. Before you let technology talk to you, let truth talk to you. Before you hear a notification, hear revelation. The first voice of the morning should not be the world's. It should be your creators and your callings. Most people wake up to noise. They rise because of obligation, not because of purpose. They wake because the clock screamed, not because destiny called. But you were not designed to be a slave to an alarm clock. You were born to answer an assignment. When you rise, you should ask one question. When the alarm rings, the world expects you to get moving. But when assignment speaks, eternity expects you to take command. Because purpose is not a schedule. Purpose is a summons. That question births direction. It turns ordinary tasks into holy missions. You don't just go to work, you go to lead. You don't just go to school, you go to learn so you can serve. You don't just open your business, you open a platform for impact. You see, when you wake with assignment, everything gains meaning. Your bed is not just furniture, it's an altar of rest. Your morning breath is not just oxygen, it's evidence that purpose still lives in you. Your commute becomes your classroom. Your breakfast becomes your preparation. Your time becomes your testimony. Say it again, until it becomes conviction. Because one day, that sentence will separate you from the masses. So here is your practical discipline. Before you sleep, write one sentence for the next day, the reason you must wake. When you open your eyes, read it before you touch your phone. Let that sentence become the spark that ignites your spirit. Because until you define your why, every day will feel like a repeat, not a revelation. Why did God trust me with another morning? So from this day forward, don't just wake up, rise up. Don't just start the day, begin the mission. And when you do, you'll discover that the energy you've been searching for is not in caffeine, it's in clarity. Wake with assignment, my friends, and the morning will start serving your destiny instead of stealing it. And the difference between getting up and getting going is the difference between survival and success. That's why I call your mind the gate of destiny. And whoever controls that gate controls your life. When God gave man dominion, he gave it first through thought. Because dominion is not physical, it's mental. You cannot rule what you cannot think correctly about. That's why the battle of life is always fought in the territory of the mind. The enemy does not need to change your body if he can capture your belief. Your thoughts are the guardsmen of your destiny. And every morning, as the world begins to speak, you must decide who you will let inside. You see, when you wake with assignment, everything gains meaning. Your bed is not just furniture, it's an altar of rest. Your morning breath is not just oxygen, it's evidence that purpose still lives in you. Your commute becomes your classroom. Your breakfast becomes your preparation. Your time becomes your testimony. That's why I call your mind the gate of destiny. And whoever controls that gate controls your life. Hear me? Purpose creates energy. People ask me, Dr. Munroe, how do you stay so driven, so consistent? I tell them, I don't live off motivation. I live off mission. When you have an assignment, you don't need to be pushed. You are pulled. Assignment is the internal gravity that lifts you from comfort into calling. That's why I call your mind the gate of destiny. And whoever controls that gate controls your life. My friends, listen carefully. Your mind is the gate through which everything in your life must pass. Before a word shapes your world, it must first pass through that gate. Before fear enters your heart, it must first enter through that gate. Before success takes root in your future, it must be welcomed through that same gate. In the same way, if you value your peace, you must protect it. If you value your joy, you must defend it. If you value your vision, you must keep out what contaminates it. Be careful who you allow to speak first into your mind each day. The voice that speaks first often becomes the voice that speaks loudest. When you wake, you are vulnerable, your subconscious is open, your spirit is tender. That is when the seeds of defeat are easiest to plant. Before your feet hit the ground, whisper this. Remember this principle. If you start your day reacting to noise, you will always be chasing other people's agendas. But if you start your day responding to assignment, you will move in divine rhythm. The alarm says it's time to get up. Assignment says it's time to get going. If you expose it to noise, you become confused. If you expose it to negativity, you'll become cynical. If you expose it to truth, you'll become wise. Because you are the average not only of the 5 people around you, but also of the 5 ideas you meditate on every day. Your mind is a magnificent servant, but a dangerous master. If you do not command it, it will command you. If you do not discipline your thoughts will discipline your destiny. So each morning, you must become the watchman of your mind. Stand guard over your thoughts like a soldier at the gate of a kingdom. Ask every thought for its passport. Where did you come from? Who sent you? Do you serve my vision or sabotage it? If it doesn't serve your purpose, deny it entry. Because whatever enters your mind eventually exits in your behavior. Your hands will always follow your head. That's why Paul said, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation doesn't begin in the spirit. It begins in the system of thought. God changes a man by changing the way he thinks. And you will never rise higher than the level of your dominant thought. So, how do you guard the gate? Let me make it practical for you. Every morning, before you face the world, do 3 things. Silence. Give your mind time to breathe. Don't rush the noise. Let peace settle. Gratitude. Speak out loud what you are thankful for. Gratitude is a security system for the mind. Declaration. Speak truth over your life before lies can form. Words are the keys that lock or unlock your thoughts. When you practice these 3 disciplines, you are not just managing stress, you are managing spiritual traffic. You are telling your mind where it can travel and what roads are closed. Hear me. The greatest attacks in your life will not come from your enemies. They will come through your unguarded mind. That is why wisdom demands watchfulness. If you fail to protect your thoughts, you will live as a prisoner of your own perception. But if you learn to guard your mental gate, you will live as a governor of your own destiny. So, the second rule is clear and eternal. Guard the gate of your mind every morning, because the world you live in tomorrow is built from the thoughts you allow today. So, how do you guard the gate? Let me make it practical for you. Every morning, before you face the world, do 3 things. Declaration. Speak truth over your life before lies can form. Words are the keys that lock or unlock your thoughts. My friends, hear me carefully. Words are not sounds, they are seeds. Every word you release carries creative power. The world you live in today is the harvest of the words you spoke yesterday. And the world you will live in tomorrow will be the harvest of the words you speak today. You see, most people underestimate the power of their own voice. They pray for miracles but speak defeat. They dream of abundance but confess lack. They desire peace but rehearse anxiety. And then they wonder why life seems to echo their fears. But the law is simple. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Whatever you continually speak, you give permission to live in your life. Because your words are spiritual contracts. Every declaration you make becomes an agreement between your mind and your future. That is why each morning you must decide what language you will speak. Faith or fear, purpose or panic, destiny or doubt. Because your mouth is the microphone of your mind and your mind is the factory of your future. The reason most people never rise is not because they lack ability, it's because they assassinate their own potential with their words. They speak small, so they think small. They think small, so they act small. And when they act small, life returns to them what they have confessed. But hear this truth. The mouth sets the boundaries of the mind. You will never think beyond what you are willing to say. And you will never live beyond what you are willing to believe out loud. When you wake in the morning, the first words that leave your mouth should be seeds of creation, not confession of fear. Don't start your day saying, I'm so tired. Start by saying, today I am strong. I am focused. I am favored. Because the moment you speak it, your body begins to align with your belief. Faith was never meant to be silent. Belief that stays in your mind cannot change your world. It must pass through your mouth to manifest in your life. Hear me well. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Bread fills the body, word fuels the mind. If you feed your stomach before you feed your spirit, you spend the day chasing comfort instead of growth. Your mouth, my friend, is not just for communication, it is for creation. And the most dangerous habit of the modern mind is casual conversation. We speak words of defeat as jokes, we speak limitation as entertainment, and we speak doubt as habit. But the subconscious mind doesn't understand humor. It records and repeats whatever you say with conviction. So every morning, you must train your tongue to agree with your vision. Speak what you want, not what you fear. Declare what you expect, not what you dread. Announce your purpose until your emotions begin to believe it. Say it when you feel it, and say it when you don't. Say it until your words build walls of confidence around your mind. Say it until your imagination starts painting new possibilities. Say it until your environment begins to echo your declaration. That's how transformation begins. Not when your circumstances change, but when your conversation changes. Your mind listens to your mouth. Whatever you say most often becomes what you start to think automatically. That's why affirmations are not superstition, they are strategy. They reprogram the software of your soul. But remember, speaking is not shouting, it's alignment. You don't need to scream to change your life. You just need to agree with truth consistently. Speak order when you feel chaos. Speak peace when you feel panic. Speak abundance when you see lack. Speak progress when you feel pressure. Because your words are steering wheels, not thermometers. They don't just describe reality, they direct it. Every successful person understands this law. They speak vision when others speak excuses. They call things that are not yet visible as though they already exist. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. You can't walk into a future you are afraid to speak about. So make it your daily discipline. Each morning, open your mouth and plant purpose into your day. Say aloud the kind of life you are creating. I am disciplined. I am wise. I am productive. I am favored. I am grateful. I am guided by purpose. Let your declarations become the morning instructions for your subconscious mind. Because if you don't command your words, your emotions will. And emotions are terrible leaders. They follow circumstances. They don't create them. Fear is loud, but faith must be louder. Negativity is constant, but truth must be consistent. So choose your words like a king signing decrees. Every statement is a law you are passing over your own destiny. When you learn to speak what you want instead of what you fear, you begin to live like a creator, not a casualty. You stop reacting to life and start rewriting it. And that's when everything begins to change, because your world eventually submits to your words. That's how transformation begins. Not when your circumstances change, but when your conversation changes. Hear this and never forget it. Fear is a prophecy you speak against yourself. Faith is a prophecy you speak for yourself. So choose your prophecy. Choose your words. Choose your world. When you learn to speak what you want instead of what you fear, you begin to live like a creator, not a casualty. You stop reacting to life and start rewriting it. And that's when everything begins to change, because your world eventually submits to your words. That's why I tell you, Feed your mind before you feed your body. Because the stomach can only sustain your strength, but the mind sustains your direction. Food can keep you alive, but only wisdom can teach you how to live. When you wake up, your spirit is hungry for truth. It is ready to receive guidance, vision, and revelation. But most people feed their appetite before they feed their assignment. They rush for breakfast but starve their belief. They fill their plates but leave their purpose empty. So tomorrow morning, before you face your job, your challenges, or your problems, stand in front of the mirror and make your declarations. Don't wait until you feel powerful. Speak until you remember that you are. Say it until it feels true. Say it until you sound like your future self. Because every seed of speech will produce its harvest in time. You must learn the law of mental nutrition. Just as junk food weakens the body, junk thoughts weaken the soul. And most of what we consume in the morning is mental junk news of disaster, gossip, fear, endless noise. You cannot build a strong life on a weak mind, and you cannot build a strong mind on weak information. When you rise, your first meal should be truth. Read something that builds, not something that breaks. Listen to something that teaches, not something that tears. Meditate on something that strengthens, not something that stirs anxiety. I begin my mornings with 3 kinds of nourishment. Spiritual truth words that remind me who I am and who I serve. Wisdom, literature, ideas that sharpen my mind and expand my thinking. Vision reminders, goals, affirmations, or notes that keep my focus fixed. Those 3 are my breakfast before breakfast. Only after my mind is fed do I feed my body. Because when the mind is nourished, even a simple meal tastes like abundance. But when the mind is starving, even luxury feels empty. When God created the world, he didn't think light, he spoke light. He said, "Let there be," and there was. You are made in his image, which means you have been given the same authority to speak what you desire to see. When you speak in faith, you activate the creative nature of your design. But when you speak in fear, you deactivate it. So I ask you, what are you feeding your mind? Are you consuming knowledge or gossip? Are you digesting wisdom or entertainment? Every thought you consume becomes a nutrient or a toxin. A healthy mind produces healthy decisions, and healthy decisions produce a healthy destiny. Most people feed their bodies 3 times a day and their minds once a week. Then they wonder why their spirit feels weak. Your mind is a muscle. It needs daily exercise, daily feeding, daily stretching. It was never meant to run on leftovers from yesterday's motivation. Because if you don't command your words, your emotions will. And emotions are terrible leaders. They follow circumstances. They don't create them. Wisdom, literature, ideas that sharpen my mind and expand my thinking. So be intentional about your mental diet. Replace entertainment with education. Replace complaint with contemplation. Replace noise with nourishment. Here's a practical principle. Before you eat food, eat wisdom. Even if it's just 10 minutes, feed your mind with material that matches your mission. Let your breakfast table be a classroom for destiny. If you give your mind 10 minutes of direction, your day will give you hours of focus. Remember this truth. The mind that is full of truth will never be ruled by fear. And the mind that is constantly fed will never become spiritually malnourished. You will think clearer, speak wiser, decide faster, and love deeper, because the quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. So tomorrow morning, Before you reach for the refrigerator, reach for revelation. Before you grab a spoon, grab a sentence that builds you. Before you take your first bite, take your first breath of wisdom. You see, whatever enters your mind first in the morning sets the menu for the rest of the day. If your first meal is fear, you will snack on worry all day. If your first meal is vision, you will feast on creativity all day. If your first meal is purpose, you will stay full of direction no matter what comes against you. My friends, listen carefully. The secret to power is focus. A life without focus is like light without a laser. It shines, but it doesn't cut. And many people fail, not because they lack energy, but because their energy is scattered. The most dangerous thing in life is not doing nothing, it's doing too many things that don't matter. Busyness is not productivity. Activity is not achievement. You can be running fast in the wrong direction and still end up lost. That's why I say to you, focus on one assignment, not many activities. God never created you to do everything. He created you to do something. And when you try to be everywhere, you end up effective nowhere. Success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing meaning. You can spend your day answering every call, replying to every message, attending every meeting, and still miss your mission. Because life rewards purposeful effort, not random motion. Let me teach you a law. Focus multiplies energy. Whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you divide your attention between weakens. When the mind is fragmented, power leaks. But when the mind is concentrated, power peaks. Look at a river. When it flows wide and shallow, it's peaceful but powerless. When that same water is channeled between narrow banks, it becomes a force that can move turbines and generate light. So it is with your life. You will never produce power until you define your banks. This is why clarity is the companion of destiny. Until you decide what deserves your attention, everything will demand it. And the world will always provide you with distractions if you don't provide it with direction. So I ask you this question: what is your one assignment for today? Not your to-do list, not your calendar, your assignment. The one thing that moves you closer to your vision, the one thing that multiplies your gift, the one thing that makes today matter. If you don't decide that, you will spend the day reacting to what others decided for you. You will become a slave to urgency instead of a steward of importance. You will end up busy but barren, working hard but producing little. So I want to teach you a principle I live by. Focus is the ability to ignore. Every successful person I have met mastered the art of saying no. They learned that every yes carries a price tag. If you say yes to distraction, you are saying no to destiny. If you say yes to pleasing everyone, you are saying no to fulfilling purpose. You cannot do both. Hear me, focus is not just concentration, it's consecration. It means setting apart your energy for what truly matters. It's deciding that you will give the best of yourself to the best of your purpose. And that decision will cost you. It will cost you comfort, convenience, and sometimes company. But it will give you clarity, consistency, and completion. So each morning, as you rise, ask yourself these three questions before you start your day. Does this task move me toward my vision? Does it require my unique gift? Does it align with my values? If the answer is no to any of those, delay it or delete it. Because if everything is important, nothing is. And if everything is urgent, you will never have peace. This is why the enemy of great is not bad, the enemy of great is good. Good distractions are the most dangerous because they look like progress but lead to nowhere. Some things in your life must die, not because they're wrong, but because they're irrelevant. Every branch that doesn't bear fruit must be pruned to make room for what does. When you live by focus, you begin to experience flow. You stop chasing time and start directing it. You stop reacting to pressure and start producing results. Your peace increases because your purpose is prioritized. Let me tell you a truth. The mind that learns to focus becomes unstoppable. Distraction is the thief of destiny, but focus is its guardian. Every morning, renew your focus as if your life depends on it, because it does. The quality of your future depends on the consistency of your concentration. Don't just be active, be accurate. Don't just be fast, be focused. Don't just move, advance. And remember this: many activities can fill your time, but only your assignment can fulfill your life. You were not created to do everything. You were created to do the essential thing. When you find it and focus on it, your life becomes both simpler and stronger. So tomorrow morning, before you rush into tasks, pause and declare this: today, I will not be scattered. I will not be distracted. I will give my best energy to my highest purpose. Say it until your mind submits to your mission. Because the secret to mastery is not doing more, it's doing less with more intention. Focus on one assignment and you will discover that clarity produces fruit that busyness never can. Let me tell you a truth. The mind that learns to focus becomes unstoppable. Distraction is the thief of destiny, but focus is its guardian. Every morning, renew your focus as if your life depends on it, because it does. The quality of your future depends on the consistency of your concentration. Too many of us are adding when we should be pruning. We think progress means more tasks, more tools, more noise, more everything. But life does not become powerful by addition, it becomes powerful by alignment. A river becomes forceful not because it gathers more water, but because it flows within boundaries. So each morning, as you rise, ask yourself these three questions before you start your day. So the sixth rule of daily dominion is this: subtract, don't add. Before you begin your day, don't ask, what more can I do? Ask, what no longer belongs? Because wisdom is not just knowing what to start, it's knowing what to start. My friends, hear me carefully. Discipline is not about addition, it is about subtraction. Growth is not only what you gain, it is also what you give up. In the kingdom of success, less is often more, and simplicity is the highest form of mastery. Sometimes the greatest miracle in your life will not be something new entering, it will be something old exiting. The reason many people don't move forward is not because they lack opportunity, but because they refuse to release the unnecessary. You cannot run toward purpose while holding on to excess. You must travel light to go far. Let me give you a law. Elimination is the first step to elevation. Before God multiplies, he always divides. Before he adds, he always separates. Before he promotes, he always prunes. Every breakthrough is preceded by a breaking away. So I ask you today, what must you subtract? What relationship drains your energy instead of feeding your vision? What habit consumes your time but contributes no growth? What commitment flatters your ego but fractures your focus? Every morning, you must audit your life. Audit your time. Audit your attention. Audit your circle. Because every minute you give to the meaningless is a minute stolen from the meaningful. And you can't complain about lacking time while you waste it entertaining distractions. You see, pruning is not punishment, it's preparation. When the gardener cuts the branch, it is not to hurt the tree, but to make it bear more fruit. So when God begins removing things from your life, don't panic. Praise him. He's not taking from you. He's clearing space for what's next. Look at nature. Every season knows how to let go. Trees shed their leaves so they can survive the winter. The farmer cuts back the field so the soil can rest. Even the body fasts to heal itself. Why? Because subtraction is creation's reset button. Here's a principle. If it no longer aligns, it no longer belongs. Every morning, look at your schedule, your thoughts, your surroundings, and your conversations. Ask yourself, does this move me toward my vision? If not, it's time to subtract. And I'll tell you this, the most courageous word you will ever learn to say is no. No is not rejection, it's direction. Every time you say no to something that distracts you, you say yes to something that defines you. You are not obligated to carry what no longer contributes to your calling. Hear me, my friend. The weight of unnecessary things will always crush the wings of destiny. You can't soar if you're dragging yesterday's baggage. You can't breathe new air if your lungs are full of old excuses. You can't enter tomorrow while clinging to what expired yesterday. So subtract fear, it only clouds your faith. Subtract comparison, it only kills your creativity. Subtract excuses, they only delay your excellence. Subtract guilt, it only chains you to the past. Every morning, make subtraction part of your devotion. Just as you dress yourself for the day, undress your mind from yesterday's burdens. Peel away distractions until only purpose remains. Remember, simplicity brings strength. The ocean is deep because it's not cluttered. The eagle flies high because it travels light. And your life will reach higher dimensions when you let go of what no longer serves your direction. So I challenge you today, remove one thing that does not align with your assignment. Say no to one distraction, release one habit, cut one unnecessary tie. Do that every day and watch how clarity, energy, and peace begin to flood your mind. Subtract to multiply, prune to produce, release to rise. That is the law of purposeful living. The more you simplify your life, the more you amplify your destiny. My friends, hear me well. The attitude you carry into your day will determine the altitude you rise to in your destiny. Gratitude and expectation are the twin engines of a powerful mind. One looks back with thankfulness, the other looks forward with faith. Gratitude keeps your heart humble. Expectation keeps your spirit hungry. Together, they create balance, the ability to enjoy today while believing for tomorrow. Many people want expansion, but they refuse excavation. You can't build a skyscraper on cluttered ground. Sometimes God cannot give you the new season because your hands are still holding yesterday. You must release to receive. Gratitude is the memory of the heart. It is the discipline of seeing grace in the ordinary. It reminds you that even when life feels heavy, you are still blessed. An expectation is the imagination of faith. It is seeing possibilities before they appear. When you combine them, you anchor your mind between contentment and conviction. Let me tell you, gratitude is not a reaction, it's a decision. It is not based on how you feel, it is based on what you know. If you only thank God when things are good, then you don't understand his nature. Gratitude says, even when I don't have what I want, I still have enough to work with. Gratitude turns little into much, delay into preparation, and struggle into strength. You see, a grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. When you thank God for what you have, you invite him to trust you with more. But when you complain about what you lack, you close the door to increase. Gratitude is heaven's signal that you are ready for the next level. Because only those who can appreciate the small are qualified to manage the great. So begin every morning by listing 3 things you are thankful for. Don't just think them, say them. Say thank you for breath. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for the people who still believe in me. You might not have everything you desire, but gratitude reminds you that you already have everything you need to begin again. But don't stop at gratitude, move to expectation. Because gratitude celebrates what God has done, while expectation activates what he's about to do. Gratitude looks backward with peace. Expectation looks forward with power. One stabilizes your heart, the other mobilizes your faith. Expectation is not wishful thinking, it is confident anticipation. It's not saying, maybe it will happen. It's declaring something good must happen because I'm walking in purpose. Expectation is the thermostat of faith. It sets the temperature of your belief. And your life will always rise or fall to the level of your expectation. That's why I say every morning, rehearse gratitude and expectation. Not just feel them, rehearse them. Because what you rehearse, you remember, and what you remember, you repeat. Too many people are grateful but not expectant. They've learned how to thank God but not how to believe him for more. They settle where they should be stretching. They accept survival when they were designed for significance. Let me give you a simple morning discipline. When you wake up, before you reach for anything else, open your mouth and speak both gratitude and expectation. Thank you for this new day. Thank you for the strength in my body, the soundness of my mind, and the peace in my heart. And today, I expect favor. I expect opportunities. I expect to grow. I expect to see results. Do that every morning. And watch how your energy changes. Because whatever you thank God for multiplies. And whatever you expect from God manifests. The law of attraction is not magic, it's management. It simply means your mind attracts what it expects and rejects what it fears. Even psychologists now confirm what scripture declared long ago. Your brain filters information to match your dominant belief. If you expect failure, you'll subconsciously find it. If you expect favor, you'll unconsciously create it. Expectation doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes your perception, your posture, your performance. You begin to walk like someone who knows the future is working for them. You speak with assurance. You decide with courage. You endure with hope because expectation is the anchor that keeps you steady when progress feels slow. And remember, this gratitude is the password into peace. Expectation is the pathway into progress. You need both every morning to keep your heart aligned with destiny. Gratitude keeps you joyful in what is. Expectation keeps you passionate about what will be. So tomorrow morning, before you run into the rush of life, pause. Take 3 minutes to rehearse gratitude. Take 3 more to rehearse expectation. Let your words set the tone for the day. Say what you are thankful for and then declare what you are believing for. Do it until your emotions align with your declaration. Because when you wake with gratitude and expectation, the world stops happening to you and starts happening through you. And that, my friends, is how peace and progress walk hand in hand. My friends, listen to me carefully. Your environment is preaching to you every day. Whether you know it or not, it is shaping your thoughts, directing your habits, and deciding your limits. You cannot rise above an atmosphere that resists your purpose. That is why I tell you, engage the environment of vision. You see, the mind does not grow in isolation. It grows in influence. Everything around you speaks, colors speak, Sounds speak. People speak. Order speaks. Your surroundings are silent teachers, and they either educate your potential or suffocate it. The reason some people never change is not because they lack motivation, it's because they live in the wrong climate for transformation. A seed can be healthy, but if the soil is wrong, it will still die. The soil of your destiny is your environment. That is why God always separates a man before he elevates him. He removed Abraham from his family so he could see the stars. He took Moses into the wilderness so he could hear clearly. He pulled Jesus away to pray before he performed miracles, because environment determines exposure, and exposure determines expectation. Your environment has 3 dimensions: physical, relational, and mental. And you must engage and shape each one deliberately. Let's talk about the physical first. The space around you either inspires focus or invites distraction. Cluttered spaces create cluttered thoughts. Disorder around you produces disorder within you. That's why I say clean space, clear mind. Before you begin your day, look around and ask, does my environment reflect my excellence? If your desk is chaos, your decisions will be too. If your home is disorder, your mind will echo it. Order is not luxury, it is leadership. But engaging your environment goes deeper than cleanliness. It's about visual reinforcement. Surround yourself with what reminds you of your destiny. Hang your goals where you can see them. Post affirmations that match your vision. Create a visual climate that keeps your focus burning, because what you repeatedly see, you eventually believe. Now let's talk about your relational environment. Who surrounds you determines what surrounds you mentally. The people closest to you are mirrors. They reflect who you are becoming. If you walk with critics, you'll become cautious. If you walk with complainers, you'll become comfortable. But if you walk with visionaries, you'll become courageous. Hear me. Relationships are environments with personalities. Every conversation plants something: doubt or faith, confusion or clarity, fear or fire. So ask yourself, who in my circle makes me think higher? Who makes me believe bigger? Who challenges me to grow? And if you can't name them, it's time to change your circle, because you cannot carry divine purpose while walking with people who are satisfied with mediocrity. You will either adjust to their level or rise beyond their comfort. Jim Rohn said it best. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I'll add this. You are also the average of the 5 conversations you entertain each morning. Choose your environment wisely, because it is constantly choosing your future. Finally, your mental environment, the atmosphere inside your head. Even when your surroundings are right and your relationships are right, you must still manage the climate of your own thoughts. The mind, my friend, is a nation. You are its president, its parliament, and its protector. So govern your mental environment with intentionality. What thoughts are you allowing to stay rent-free in your head? Do they build your courage or breed your fear? Every morning, inspect the climate of your thinking. If negativity clouds the sky, speak sunlight. If doubt starts to drizzle, declare faith. If fear starts to whisper, turn up the volume of truth. You can't always control the weather outside, but you can control the weather within. You see, success doesn't happen by accident, it happens by atmosphere. That's why winners cultivate the conditions for greatness. They design their environments to serve their intentions. They fill their spaces with inspiration, their calendars with priorities, and their minds with possibility. Their environment pulls them forward even when motivation runs low. Let me tell you something. Excellence is not an act. It is an atmosphere. It lives in the way you keep your room, the way you manage your time, the way you respond to people, the way you speak to yourself. It's not about luxury. It's about intentionality. Every morning before you go into the world, take 5 minutes to engage your environment of vision. Straighten your space. Symbolize order. Read something inspiring. Stimulate creativity. Speak to one person who lifts you. Strengthen connection. Review your goals. Stir your direction. These simple acts are not decoration. They are alignment. They train your atmosphere to serve your assignment. Because your environment is not neutral. It is either nurturing your potential or neglecting it. It's either growing you or grinding you down. And you have the power to choose which it will be. So hear this and remember it. If your environment does not reflect your future, it will repeat your past. Build an atmosphere that mirrors your destiny, and your destiny will manifest in that atmosphere. Engage your environment, guard it, and grow within it, because every great vision needs the right climate to live. And when you master the atmosphere around you, the world around you will begin to obey the vision within you. My friends, hear me clearly. The measure of true leadership is not how many people serve you, but how many people you serve. Greatness is not in position, it is in posture. And the highest posture a human can take is the posture of service. That's why the 9th rule of daily dominion is this: serve before you seek. Before you seek success, seek to serve. Before you demand attention, deliver value. Before you ask for reward, ask for responsibility. You were not created to consume, you were created to contribute. Purpose is never self-centered, it is always others-centered. Every gift God placed in you was not for your glory, but for someone's growth. You were blessed to be a blessing. And the moment your life stops serving others, your purpose begins to decay. You see, service is the currency of greatness. Jesus said, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. He didn't condemn ambition, he redefined it. He said, you may pursue greatness, but the path there is through service. Many people wake up asking, what can I get today? But those who make impact wake up asking, whose life can I live today? One question produces consumers, the other produces leaders. The consumer survives, but the servant reigns. Let me tell you a secret about success. Money follows value, and value flows through service. You don't chase success, you attract it through usefulness. The more people you help, the more heaven trusts you with influence. Because God promotes stewards, not seekers. If you wake up only thinking about yourself, your world will always feel small. But when you wake up thinking about others, your world begins to expand. Service enlarges the soul. It transforms your motives from me to mission. Hear this. You are most alive when you are useful. That's why depression often hides behind self-absorption. When life revolves only around you, it begins to lose meaning. But when you live to serve, every moment becomes meaningful. Every act of kindness becomes an investment in eternity. So every morning, before you set out to achieve your goals, stop and ask, who can I help today? Whose burden can I lighten? Whose dream can I strengthen? Because your environment is not neutral. It is either nurturing your potential or neglecting it. It's either growing you or grinding you down. And you have the power to choose which it will be. When you live to serve, you begin to understand that success is not measured by what you possess, but by what you produce in others. Your greatest legacy will not be what you built, but who you built. Because people are the only investments that last beyond time. You see, selfish ambition is exhausting, but servant ambition is energizing. When you serve, you tap into the natural rhythm of creation, giving, growing, and glorifying. The ocean gives to the clouds give to the land gives to the seed, and the seed gives back to life. The circle of greatness is always sustained by giving. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes service is a smile, a word of encouragement, a silent prayer, an honest compliment, or a small act of integrity. Service is not always public, but it is always powerful. It turns ordinary moments into divine appointments. Remember this law. Service is the seed of promotion. Before God can trust you with nations, he will test you with neighbors. Before he gives you influence in public, he watches your humility in private. And those who serve faithfully in small things will always be elevated to greater things. When you live to serve, you begin to understand that success is not measured by what you possess, but by what you produce in others. Your greatest legacy will not be what you built, but who you built. Because people are the only investments that last beyond time. Serve before you seek, my friends, and you will never need to chase destiny again. Because destiny will start chasing you. Because service is not something you schedule, it's something you are. You don't need a title to serve, you need a heart. And when your heart beats for others, your destiny begins to beat louder. I have learned this. Those who serve rise faster than those who strive. Because striving is powered by pride, but serving is powered by purpose. And purpose always wins. So tomorrow morning, when you wake, don't just think of what you can achieve. Think of what you can give. Don't just plan your advancement, plan your assistance. Make someone's load lighter and watch how life begins to lift you. Because in God's system, greatness is never grabbed, it is given through service. And the hands that help others climb will always find themselves lifted higher. So if you ever feel stuck, start serving. If you feel directionless, start giving. If you feel empty, start pouring. Because the fastest way to fill your soul is to empty it for others. The more you give, the more God multiplies your capacity to give again. My friends, listen carefully. Every morning must end with a decision, not just devotion. Because inspiration without discipline is illusion. You can pray, you can plan, you can even proclaim, but without discipline, nothing will ever live beyond your emotions. That's why the 10th and final rule of daily dominion is this: close your morning with a covenant of discipline. Discipline is the bridge between what you desire and what you deliver. It is the invisible cord that ties your vision to your habits, your words to your works, your faith to your follow through. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It guards your potential from waste and your time from theft. It is the daily agreement between who you are and who you are becoming. You see, discipline is not something you feel, it is something you choose. Motivation is a feeling, but discipline is a decision. Motivation fades when pressure rises, but discipline stands when excitement dies. It doesn't ask how you feel, it reminds you who you are. That's why I call it a covenant. A covenant is not a casual promise, it is a binding agreement sealed with purpose. When you close your morning with a covenant of discipline, you are telling your future, you can trust me. You are telling heaven, I will steward what I prayed for. You are telling yourself, I will not drift today. I will drive. I want you to hear this. The undisciplined life is an unlocked life. Anyone and anything can walk into it and rearrange it. But the disciplined life is a gated life. It has boundaries. It has structure. It has purpose. Discipline is how you guard the gate of your destiny. Every morning, begin your day with one act of service. Intentional, silent, sincere. Send a message of encouragement. Mentor a colleague. Pray for someone who doesn't expect it. Hold a door. Share an idea. Solve a problem. Do something that adds light before you ask for spotlight. So, how do you close your morning with a covenant of discipline? Let me make it practical for you. Before you step into your day, do three things. Define your standard. Decide today what excellence looks like for you. Don't lower your expectations to match your feelings. Raise your behavior to match your potential. Speak your standard aloud. I will give my best effort. I will honor my time. I will walk in integrity. Decide your boundaries. Every great life is built within limits. Know what you will do and what you will not do. Say no to distractions that dilute your energy. Protect your focus like treasure, because it is dedicate your actions. Whatever you do, do it as service, not survival. Attach your daily work to your deeper why. This turns duty into devotion and effort into excellence. That's what it means to make a covenant of discipline. It's not a ritual, it's a declaration of mastery. It's telling the day, you won't run me, I'll rule you. And hear me, discipline is freedom. It may feel restrictive at first, but it sets you free from chaos, free from guilt, free from regret. An undisciplined life feels easy now and painful later. A disciplined life feels hard now, but peaceful forever. Choose your pain, the pain of order or the pain of regret. When you live by discipline, you no longer need to chase consistency. Consistency becomes your character. And when consistency becomes your character, success becomes your companion. The greatest test of discipline is not how you act when you are inspired, but how you behave when you are invisible. When no one is watching, when no applause is coming, when no reward is immediate, that is when discipline proves its power. Because discipline is loyalty to purpose in the absence of praise. So tomorrow morning, before you rush out the door, pause and make your covenant of discipline. Say aloud, today I will govern myself with wisdom. I will not waste time on what does not grow me. I will act with integrity even when no one sees. I will stay faithful to my focus. I will finish what I start. Seal it like a vow between you and your vision. And if you fail, don't recommit. Every morning is mercy's invitation to try again. Because discipline is not perfection, it is persistence. Remember, my friends, discipline is the price of freedom. Discipline is the proof of maturity. Discipline is the protector of destiny. When you master your mornings with discipline, you begin to master your life with direction. And when you learn to command yourself, nothing external will ever command you again. So close every morning with a covenant of discipline and watch how the rest of your day begins to obey your purpose. My friends, we have come to the end of our journey this morning, and I want to seal everything we have learned under one powerful truth, the law of first fruits. Discipline begins where convenience ends. It starts the moment you no longer feel like doing what you said you would do. And every time you keep your word to yourself, you build a wall of credibility around your soul. You begin to believe in your own voice again. You begin to respect your own decisions again. Because self-respect is born from self-control. That is why in ancient wisdom, the people would bring the first fruits of their harvest, not because God needed their crops, but because they needed to acknowledge his covering. It was their declaration. You are Lord over my field, Lord over my work, Lord over my time. And in the same way, Every morning, when you give God the first of your day, your first thoughts, your first words, your first focus, you are saying, you are Lord over my life. The morning is the tithe of your time. When you surrender that first portion, heaven sanctifies the rest. When you dedicate the dawn, the day bows in obedience. Hear me carefully. Your morning is the altar where destiny receives its instructions. And whatever you place on that altar first becomes the offering that multiplies throughout the day. If you place fear there, fear will multiply. If you place faith there, faith will multiply. If you place order there, order will govern. But if you place nothing there, chaos will claim the rest. That is the law of first fruits. The first determines the fate of the rest. This is why I say, do not treat your morning as casual. Treat it as covenant. Do not enter it with haste. Enter it with honor. Because the moment you wake is not the beginning of time. It is the renewal of trust. God trusted you again with breath, with purpose, with opportunity. And your response in that first hour determines how you steward the remaining 23. So rise each morning with reverence. Take those first moments to think, to thank, to focus. Let gratitude sanctify your emotions. Let truth purify your thoughts. And let vision organize your priorities. When you do, your day will no longer happen to you, it will happen for you. Understand this. Life always amplifies what you initiate. Whatever you start in faith ends in fruitfulness. Whatever you start in distraction ends in disorder. Whatever you start with God ends in greatness. So, tomorrow morning, don't just wake, worship. Don't just begin, build. Don't just plan, present your first hour to the one who gave you all of them. Make the first of your day sacred ground. And when you do, watch what begins to happen. Peace will follow you into meetings. Clarity will accompany your decisions. Favor will align with your footsteps. Because the first fruit of your morning became the seed for the harvest of your day. Let me say this again until it echoes in your spirit. The first controls the flow. The first carries the future. The first unlocks the favor. If you master your first hour, you master the next 23. If you honor your first moment, the next 1,000 will obey it. You see, the greatest mistake people make is treating time like ownership when it is stewardship. Time is not yours. It is entrusted to you. And the tithe of that trust is your morning. If you waste it, you weaken your witness. But if you honor it, you amplify your anointing. So I call you today to a higher discipline, a lifestyle of morning mastery. Let every sunrise become your signal to rule. Let every dawn remind you that dominion begins again. When you open your eyes, let the first sound from your lips be purpose, not panic. Let your first breath be gratitude, not groaning. Let your first act be alignment, not anxiety. Because every sunrise is mercy saying, try again. Every morning is heaven whispering, I still believe in you. Every dawn is destiny declaring, it's your turn again. You have been given another day, another chance, another beginning. Don't waste it waiting for inspiration. Start it with intention. Because every great destiny is built one morning at a time. So hear me, and never forget this final truth. Your destiny doesn't change in a year. It changes in one obedient morning, repeated 365 times. If you rule your mornings, you will reign in your life. Now, I want you to make this your declaration every dawn. This is my morning of dominion. I give this first hour as an offering of excellence. My mind will think clearly. My mouth will speak truth. My focus will serve my vision. My time will honor my purpose. And today, I will walk in the authority of one who rules his morning. Say it until it becomes your rhythm. Live it until it becomes your reality. Because everything begins there. Rule your morning, and the world will begin to respect your discipline. Honor your first moments, and life will begin to multiply your effectiveness. Give God the first fruits of your day, and he will bless the harvest of your destiny. Now, I want you to make this your declaration every dawn.